All right, hello. Today's objective is to represent integer operations with concrete models and connect the actions with the models to the standardized algorithms. It's the same as yesterday, but what it means is we're using integers, so the positive and negative numbers, and the operations we're using today will be just addition. So we're using models, and by models, I mean little counters. They're positive and negative counters, and we'll show you what those mean in just a second. You may need to pause your video to write your objective. Okay, your guiding question is, what is a zero pair and how is it used in adding integers? We introduced this a little bit in class today, but you'll answer it again this afternoon for your homework. Be sure and skip 3 lines and we'll come back to it at the end so you can answer this. Okay, so now just watch for a minute. Okay, so if I'm going to add 4 positives and 6 positives, that's what this means, is positive 4 plus positive 6. We learned in class that the positives are yellow, so I'm going to have 4 positives, and I'm going to add 6 more positives just like it. And what do I have? It's 10 positives. But if you don't have these counters at home, you could just write it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All together I have I have 10 positive integers. If you don't want to draw them, you could use this at home with maybe pennies and nickels, or you could use 2 different colors of beans, or you could use Fruit Loops. Anything that you can group 2 different types of things together to represent this. Okay, the next one is 2 negatives. I have negative 3 plus negative 5. Now we learned that the negative integers are red. What this means is 3 negatives plus 5 more negatives. When I add those together, I would have negative 3 plus negative 5 gives me 8 negative integers. And I could write it like this. That's pretty easy. It does not even require manipulatives to do this. I have 8 negative integers there. So that's answer is negative 8. This answer was positive 10. Okay, now it's your turn. Number 3, your introductory problem. I want you to do 2 of these. I want you to add 2 positives plus 5 positives. And you can do those with just drawing the circle with a positive sign in the middle. And then also do negative 1 plus negative 7. That would be 1 negative integer plus 7 negative integers. Okay, next, patterns and observations. Number 4, what do you notice about adding these integers? What do you think the rule is when you add 2 positive numbers together? What do you think the rule is when you add 2 negative numbers together? Write down your observations for number 4. Okay, so I just want you to watch again for just a second. What do you think happens when we add numbers with different signs? And by signs, I mean a positive or negative sign. So negative is red, so that's 2 negatives plus 5 positives. Okay, well, I can't really combine because I don't really know what I'm looking at here. They're different. But we learned that when you look at a number and its opposite, the sum of them is 0. So if this one is a negative 1 and this is a positive 1 together, they make 0. And I'm just going to circle those and we call it a 0 pair. Here is another positive and negative and it's a 0 pair. So when I cancel those out, my positives and negatives, I have 1, 2, 3 positive integers left. So negative 2 plus a positive 5 will be positive 3. You could check that on a number line. You could start at negative 2 and you could move 5 spaces in the positive direction. You would end up at positive 3. Okay, I'll do one more. 5 positives, 4, 5, plus 4 negatives. Okay, we'll do the same thing again. We will create a 0 pair. And in your guiding question, it's what is a 0 pair and how is it used? Well, a 0 pair is when we group a positive integer with a negative integer and they have a value of 0. We learned about these a little bit in class today. I'm just grouping them so they can't get away. And all I have left is 1 positive integer. Now it's your turn. -3 plus +8. And you could say that is 3 negatives plus 8 positives. I want you to try to draw the models, your positive and negative integers, your little circles with the signs on them. Draw this to solve problem 5. Okay, you'll do the same thing for problem 6. It's written with parentheses so that it doesn't have to look like 6 plus -10, because that looks confusing with two signs right together. So when you have a plus sign and a negative, we just group it with the parentheses so we can see that it really is a -10. That would be 6 positives plus 10 negatives. And the last one, -9 plus 7. 9 negative integers plus 7 positive integers. When you circle your 0 pairs and get rid of all those, what is left over? Okay, number 8, your rules for adding integers. I want you to go ahead and write these down for number 8. When the same sign, means when it's a positive plus a positive or a negative plus a negative. So when they're both positive, such as +2 plus +3, you just add them. 2 and 3 is 5, and your answer is positive. But when both of your integers are negative, -1 plus -6, you just add those numbers. 1 plus 6 is 7, and then your answer is negative. You keep the same sign as both of those. Now, what happens when one is positive and one's negative? That's a different rule. So I want you to write down opposite signs and leave 3 blank lines. We're going to go over this one more in class tomorrow. But if you would like to earn 20 bonus points right now, as soon as your video is over, go ahead and leave a comment on the video with your name and what you think the rule will be for adding integers with opposite signs. That means you could make a 120 on this homework assignment. Just leave your name and what you think it'll be. Underneath the video, there'll be a spot to leave a comment. Okay, number 9, questions. What questions do you still have? And if you do not have any questions, what do you think may be the most difficult part about adding integers? And 10. How well did you understand this? Are you completely confused? Do you understand a little bit but not very much? Do you understand most of it? Do you understand it but you really couldn't teach it to someone else? Or do you know this and you could teach someone else? Don't forget to go back and answer your guiding question. What is a 0 pair and how is it used in adding integers? See you tomorrow.